I am joined today by Graham from Mizuno. So thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So Mizuno have been running for a long time. You've recently got into hockey in the past few years, starting with the launch of your hockey shoes, which I have worn the Panthera shoes, and I have said very publicly, I think they are the comfiest hockey shoes I have ever worn. So what brought Mizuno into the hockey space?
Yeah, thanks for the acknowledgement on the shoes. Appreciate it. It's always nice to get really good feedback. I just think it just always felt like a Mizuno sport without actually having been one for many years. As you said, we were founded in 1906, so we've gone, well over 100 years without having that in the range. But especially in the UK, we were pushing for that. It's obviously a very big sport for our Dutch colleagues as well within Europe, so we had a bit of support there. So yeah, we went about that in 2019. We started to ask some more serious questions about developing some hockey shoes. We got through. We had some success, and they were released in 2020, which was not ideal. As you know, I don't think anyone's going to forget that sport just totally vanished for a couple of years there. So it actually took a couple of years longer than we'd anticipated to get any kind of breakthrough at all. But once we did, then, and as you say, we're a little bit more prominent now in that world, which is a huge bonus for us. But yeah, I mean, just theoretically, we always believed that we could make decent shoes. Mizuno is very much about being technical and making the best product we possibly can. And the footwear, we knew it would go hand in hand with the team wear. So the two things combined gave us a really good offering just overall in hockey.
Yeah, and you've, in the past season or so, you've launched a new highest level shoe, the Leopardus.
Yeah, the Leopardus. We wanted to call it the leopard, but there's some copyright issues with that apparently.
So what distinguishes across your range? I know you've got several different models.
Yeah, we've got three senior models, and it's just about trying to find something for everyone. So very much along the same lines as the rest of our sports. We are a multi-sport brand, and I guess if you don't know Mizuno, you might only know it from the sport you discovered it from. So we're a big golf brand, so you might have played with the golf irons. You might wear our football boots. There are young women, girls wearing our netball shoes. Our biggest sport is running, so plenty of people are running our shoes. So within all of those silos of sports, there will be a reasonably decent range. Obviously, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Humans are all different shapes of sizes, run at different speeds, jump at different speeds. It's very, very diverse. So we have the three models. The one you just referred to, the Leopardus, which we position as the lighter, more flexible, more agile shoe, and you'd potentially see your kind of forward players, your wingers wearing that kind of shoe. The Panthera, which is the shoe you've enjoyed for comfort, would be a slightly more robust, sturdier and stable shoe, so potentially kind of centre mid defensive shoe. And then underneath that is a shoe called the Lynx, which is more of an entry level. So really that was a price conscious decision. It's not quite as good as the other two shoes, but it's more based on the Panthera silo. So a really good all-rounder for those that haven't got 140 quid or 130 quid. So that comes in, I think it's at 95 at the moment. So that's that. And then we've got a junior version of that, which comes in several colors. So again, the kids' shoes go up to a 5.5. And if you're a poor parent with 3 or 4 children playing, God knows, 10 different sports, you can't be shelling out 150 quid each time. So those are more in the kind of £60 region. So yeah, a really nice range to suit everyone.
And across the range, how do you balance? So you talked about having the lightweight versus the more robust shoe. How do you balance things like the weight of the shoe against the grip or the protection?
Yeah, so naturally a more robust shoe will be a little bit heavier, a little bit more stable, and probably a little bit more durable. And what we're careful not to do is pigeonhole people into these shoes. So we're not going to say you're a really nimble, quick player, you have to wear the Leopardus. basically it's all about trying them on and seeing what's best for you. Your brain is remarkably adept at working out what feels good on your feet, and that goes across a number of sports. So if you were to put the Leopardus on and go, I like it, but it's just not quite right, and then put the Panthera on and it feels right, then we'd be saying trust your instinct and go for the shoe that feels right on your foot. And at the moment, the split between the two is relatively even. The Panthera came out first, so it's a more popular shoe just because it's got a little bit more history and it's a little bit more mature. But honestly, it's very much the same as in the running world. Wearing a very light racer, you might be 70 kilos and want to wear a very light training shoe. You might be a big lump like me at sort of 95 kilos and just need a heavier shoe with more cushioning. So it's the same principle. So pick what's right for you. Be guided by the technology, be guided by the recommendations, but ultimately make that decision based on your own personal feelings.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary to give. When it comes to the shoe designs, how do you come up with the colorways? Because I know you've done the white and gold special edition last season that I thought looked fantastic. This year, is it purple and yellow?
Purple and orange, yeah.
Purple and orange, I apologize. And I think they're really eye-catching, and I think they're really interesting. Is that a big decision? Is it a small group of people come up? Is it based around a theme?
It's often based around a theme. So in almost every instance, so the color designs are not controlled by the local markets such as the Netherlands or the UK, although we do have input. So all of the designs are done. We're a Japanese brand. Our head office is in Osaka, and that's where all the designing is done and all the color choices. So we will feed back that at elite level, everyone likes to see a white shoe, that they're light, they look lighter, they look quicker. There's just a mental kind of association with white being elite and speedy. The reality is that at grassroots hockey, in schools and colleges, quite often you're asked to wear more subtle, somber colors, black, navy. So we have to factor in all of the different marketplaces. When you take the white gold as an instance and you take the purple and orange, which was very Marmite, but at least it was thought inducing, that those colors are across all of our sports. So there will be a purple and orange handball range and then a purple and orange, whatever the next sport is, netball range, etc. So there's a theme, and that will be the same when it comes to Paris. There will be a specific color that all of our athletes that wear Mizuno shoes will wear in Paris. So there is some thought into it. We would like to see, in this particular instance, we'd always like to see a white option. We just think it looks super smart. It definitely works at elite level. But we've obviously, again, coming back to parents that have to spend their money on children, you do not want your kid going out playing an hour of hockey and coming back and your shoes are absolutely destroyed. So there's a thought process there where we just need them to look like they've been preserved for a little bit longer, and that's where the more somber colors come in. Yeah.
With that, are you going to go the high contrast? So if it was a white shoe, like a black logo, with the Olympics obviously being the most televised hockey event with the most viewership, getting the brand out there, making it very clear, because obviously you've got some big name players wearing the shoes, and getting that kind of visible traction. I know it's something that's been pushed by other brands previously at big events like the Olympics, like the World Cup. Is that a route that you might go down?
Yeah, I know what the colours are for Paris, and I can't tell you what they are now till they come out, which is sort of end of June. But they're vivid without being crazy. But there is a plan B, which is a little bit crazy. So really, what you have to do in a major tournament such as that is you have to find the middle ground, because what you actually ultimately want, you do want players to wear the shoes. Not everybody is fortunate enough to receive a sponsorship. Yeah, there were, even at Olympic level, there are people that will be paying for footwear in certain sports. You know, elite track and field, maybe not. Elite football, maybe not. But certainly some of those other kind of aspirational sports, a lot of athletes will still be purchasing their own footwear, right? So what you don't want to do is bring out colours that they just don't want to wear or don't want to buy. So you've got to find that happy medium of it works on a marketing level, but it also works on a level that people want to wear them.
Okay, that's really interesting. In that you touched on that some players won't have sponsorship and will be providing their own shoes. Do you have a rough estimate of how many players are sponsored by Mizuno?
Globally, in hockey, if you're talking about like formal agreements with payment, less than 10. If you're talking about players that might just receive the odd pair from, you know, from a seeding program or for a bit of support, then yeah, a couple of hundred. So quite a big difference, and that just comes from, in our world of Mizuno, it's very much a product driven brand rather than a marketing driven brand that spend a lot on sponsorship. And I think if you're in the world of sport, you'll probably notice that. You only have to watch, you know, the Football Premier League. There aren't a lot of Mizuno boots kicking about there unless someone's chosen to wear them. You know, very rich sports, and there are some brands, you know, in our world that have got a lot of money to spend in that kind of realm. We're not one of them. We're very much focused on developing the best product and letting that product tell its story, and that word of mouth association with it to promote the shoes.
Okay. You touched on the kit range. Obviously, you've had a couple of big signings recently in the hockey world, taking on the Ireland national kit as well as the GB national kit. Do you want to talk more a little bit around the teamwear side?
Yeah, sure. And I think going back to the point earlier, was what we wanted to do when we released hockey was be joined up and have the opportunity to make an impact sort of head to toe, really. Being a decent teamwear brand, we always had that capacity. We've got some teamwear factories, many factories are scattered around the planet, and we will have various different sports coming out of various different factories depending on their specialty. So hockey, we always felt that we could make an offering where, you know, you would see a team run out and from the neck down to the soles of their feet, they're wearing Mizuno. And it's for me, it's the greatest reward. I love to see that. And it all really started with Surbiton Hockey Club, who were our first signing. And what I wanted to do immediately when hockey was released as a sport was get a very high profile club side. At that point, there was no talk of a national governing body or an international side. We knew that was a bit out of our reach. So Surbiton proved to be a perfect partner for us. So they just started to develop a hockey kit. You had quite a lot of players immediately picking up the interest in the footwear. The junior participation down at Surbiton is superb. So you'll see a lot of the kids running around in the shoes now as well. So that was the foundation for what we wanted to do in teamwear. Off the back of Surbiton, a few people started to notice the kit, and we started to pick up a few other customers here and there. And that led us to, a few years later, being able to eventually have a conversation with England and be us, you know, as a English and British marketing manager was the pinnacle. You know, our Dutch colleagues, I'm sure, would like to be able to do the same, but at the moment they're a little way short of that. But we've been well established in teamwear in the UK now for about 15 years. So we were just a step further ahead in what we're able to do with the teamwear. So yeah, look, I mean, hugely rewarding. And I think if you watched the Pro League recently in Argentina and obviously the Olympic qualifiers, the kit looks fantastic. And a lot of the players, especially on the men's side of things, are wearing the shoes. And it really is just a very powerful marketing tool without really having to say too much at the time. It's really worked very well.
And obviously, there's been a huge change in the past 12 months with regards to teamwear, with the ladies' side of the game being allowed to wear shorts now. Uh, that's been a big push, I know, from Tess Howard. How much has Mizuno been involved with that?
That process actually with both the men and the women to develop that kit was pretty intense. It more so on the women's side because there was just more importance to it, as you've just highlighted. Men have always had choice. I mean, I think from the moment we started having meetings with the GB athletes at that point, it was clear that the men needed really technical high performance kit, but were not quite as focused on what that entailed as Tess was and Anna Toman. So that Tess and Anna were the two women we worked with on that. The men were kind of, has it got a collar? Has it not got a collar? Pockets? That those sort of elements. Whereas the women were had very different set of requirements. The last thing you need if you're playing hockey and there's a photographer there is bending over and there's a really inappropriate angle of your body or how the kit has portrayed your body or whatnot. So we worked really hard with Tess and Anna to develop that kit. So they've all got new kits. So the men have got new playing shirts, new shorts, the women, new vests, new shorts, new skirts. So I saw a brilliant image the other day after the Olympic qualifiers, the women walking off the match against Ireland and 4 different players, 2 of them in skirts, 2 of them in shorts. And it was a really good moment. We felt very proud that we'd got to that point. And yeah, obviously the players helped us get there. We had to develop the product, have a fitting session, have a testing session, go back, alter this, alter that, fit, elastic, all of the materials, the breathability, until we got something that finally, really, you're asking Tess to put on and going, how do you feel about that? And at the point she says you've nailed it, that's the point we know our job's done. But that took a long time, but it was well worth it.
I mean, I think it's a great moment for our sport that we have made that big step forward. England and GB are famously quite conservative in their kit design. Mizuno have, for a few years on Talk Hockey Radio, we've talked about how Japan have had the best kit in any major tournament. Are we going to see a little bit of that Mizuno magic coming into the GB and the Ireland kits?
I'd love to. There is nothing I like more, or more particularly our designers like more than a nice clean palette and an ability to just create something that they're incredibly proud of, that we know that players want to wear. I think where we are in hockey is I think the sport overall is quite conservative in what it's asking for. So we have created a number of designs that have excited the governing bodies without committing them to it. So I think we're a step away from being there, from doing I think the Japanese kit's got the blossom on it, and it looks beautiful. And I think we're a tiny way away from there, but not a million miles away. I think where we are with GB, what we're trying to do is create identity, and it's important that you don't lose the identity within a design just for the sake of creating something, for want of a better word, wacky. So our challenge is to create something that retains identity, retains the spirit of GB or the spirit of England without detracting from it, but is also incredibly powerful. So I think what I would say is we've done the GB piece for now. They will play as GB up until the summer. And then we've got a wonderful opportunity after the summer to start looking at we're already looking at the England designs, but to see what that looks like. So I would say there are exciting conversations about the England kit. I would say watch this space. There will be something that will not have been seen before on the backs of the England men and women when they get to play. And we're excited about that.
That sounds really interesting. I do look forward to it as someone who has got, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 red Adidas tops with the England logo on. I'm looking forward to seeing something a little bit different. So on that, what is the plan going forward with supporter kits or replica kits?
There we have a little bit more carte blanche. I think it's how strictly do we want to adhere to the word replica? That's the first point. So for GB, we've already designed a replica range. It's already been sold at Super Sixes in Derby a couple of weeks ago, quite successfully. And I don't know if you had the pleasure of being there, but we had the traditional navy and white for the men and the red for the women, but we also did some in the goalie colours. So without them being goalie tops, they were the kit, and they were in pink and they were in baby blue, and actually they were the best sellers. So to your point, there's definitely an appetite from a supporter perspective to stir things up a bit, shake things up a little bit, and go for something that's really outstanding. And I think, you know, if you are attending a match or you're attending a tournament and you're supporting your team, you want to be seen. You want to be, you know, showing your colours and showing who you're supporting. And we'd love nothing better than a load of people sitting in a stand wearing bright pink Mizuno tops, because everyone's going to see it. So again, achieving that balance of traditionalism and something new and exciting. I think also the other option we've got is just that the supporting range of things like cotton tees and hoodies, and what we can do with those, with the identity, and you know, making, so not necessarily the playing shirt replicas, but the supporting pieces and what we can do with those. So again, going on to England, which is our next opportunity, we've got some very exciting ideas about how we can engage the fan base and the consumer base into further supporting their team by investing in this incredible stuff. And of course, that's only a good thing for the governing body at the end of the day. It's, yes, of course, we're a brand and a manufacturer and we've got business to do, but a lot of that business, if it gets done and it gets done the right way, goes back into the sport. It goes back into helping England hockey do what they need to do. You know, they've got overheads, so everybody wins at the end of the day. And we're not here to make huge profits. The pricing's reasonable, it's sensible, nowhere near what you would see in the world of a football replica top, as an example. So kids ranges as well, which are affordable. So I think we're on the right path, and we're working very closely with the governing body to make sure that it works for everybody and that it retains exactly what they need it to retain in terms of identity.
And is the plan to follow a similar distribution method to what they have used previously, which is only having the kit available at events, or is there going to be a more ready supply, so being able to ship some out through hockey shops or through the England and GB hockey websites?
Yes, there will definitely be online distribution. That channel hasn't been decided yet 100%. It will primarily come from the England and GB sources 100%. It is a relatively new relationship, and it's a relatively new experience for England hockey as it is for us. So for their side of things, they've got to get that absolutely right. I mean, the most critical factor of this is customer service. At the end of the day, you can make the best kit in the world, but if you can't receive the service in receiving it or sending it back or exchanging it, or all of those different things that you would expect in 2024, where online retailing is next level, then you're just not going to be a satisfied customer. So for us, the important element is to, again, work together to make sure the channels can service the customers in exactly the way we need it to be serviced. We don't want to rush into just piling this out, and then 5 minutes later, someone, you might say, Fraser, I'm not sure whether I'm a medium or a large, so I'm going to order both, right? And then you're going to want to send one back, and then the website is not set up to receive the wrong size. So we have to make sure that this is a really integrated, smooth process for the end consumer, and we're very, very, very close to that. So I would expect you to be able to start purchasing that replica kit outside of a physical event pretty soon, within the next couple of months.
Excellent. I was actually at the Super Sixes in Derby, and I was looking at buying one of the goalkeeping shirts, but unfortunately, I think they had sold out of my size by the time I finally got to the front of the queue. So I look forward to that as well.
I think that's it, music to my ears. We've got, you can never quite win as a retailer, which is if you sell out, you're absolutely thrilled, but then you think you're missing sales, right? So you've got it, striking that balance is very difficult, and also it being the first such instance of that with Mizuno and the GB kit. It's very difficult to have planned a purchase and know what the expectations were. My understanding, having spoken to England Hockey, is that it far exceeded expectations in terms of the appetite for the kit. So we'll definitely take that, but that also helps you set a blueprint for your next event or your next your next retail purchase.
Yeah. And then moving on, a final question I always like to ask is, if you were given a golden check to sign whoever you wanted in the world of hockey to a Mizuno contract, who would you want to get on board?
Individuals or teams?
We'll go with both. What team would you like to get on board, and then what individual?
Netherlands. I just find just the kit so iconic. Apart from the fact being obviously a phenomenal team, we've got Frederique Matler. I would have put her on the sign-up list, but luckily she's already with us. She's phenomenal. I'd quite like Argentina. I know they've not got a new kit supplier, but I'm just going with. I'm almost being driven by the classic football kits of history, and I think the Dutch orange and the blue and white of Argentina are so beautiful and so outstanding. I mean, I'm an old man, so I remember the 1978 World Cup final, football World Cup final, which was Argentina, Netherlands, and how amazing they look playing each other. I think in the world of individuals at the moment, the one I'd like is someone that was with us. I want him back. Is Zach Wallace. So Zach was a Mizuno man. Pretty much our first ambassador, the first guy that wore our hockey shoes. He's doing something else at the moment, but I'd gladly welcome Zach back with open arms when we can make that work for both of us.
Fantastic. Just before we wrap things up, is there anything that you want to shout out that Mizuno is doing that you don't think gets enough attention?
I think generally Mizuno that doesn't get enough attention because it doesn't spend enough money on marketing to warrant the attention. I've always felt that if you have been in a position to try Mizuno product, you're probably quite impressed with it. Is my gut feeling. I think there's been no doubt about the quality of what we do across all levels in all sports. Master craft people really in the world of sports manufacturing, and like I say, 118 years of doing it as well. So I just think that something like, thank you for this opportunity to speak to more people. But if you do get that opportunity to try the product, we're lucky in hockey that we've got a bit of a voice now. But our running shoes were as good as our hockey shoes. Our football boots were as good as our hockey shoes. Our golf clubs were as good as our hockey shoes. It's just, I think it's the opportunity to discover Mizuno as a multi-sport brand. That would be my dream ticket, where people, I love their golf clubs, so therefore I'm going to try their running shoes. I love their hockey shoes, so therefore I'm going to try their hoodies, or whatever that process might be. So hopefully, again, if we can be successful in the sectors that we're working in now, and that success breeds more success, then at the end of the day that will happen organically. In a dream scenario, you were talking about the golden check. That's what we really need. We really need that investment to be super, super, super strong. Pleased with where we are. We're delighted with how we've gone in hockey so far. Long may that continue to improve. And as it stands at the moment, I think it is improving, and I expect 2024 to be a big hockey year for Mizuno.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Fraser. Really enjoyed it.
Best of luck.
Likewise. Thank you.